Hey everybody, it's GoblinX and welcome back to some more Magic Arena. And today we're playing the Edge of Eternities Collector Booster Arena Direct once again. High stakes, best of one sealed, so high variance Magic as well, hoping to open a great sealed pool, hoping to draw great throughout the games and dodge absurd decks or curve outs from our opponents. This is a $30 event. It is requiring 7 wins before only 2 losses, and it's best of 1, so you have a single loss of breathing room. We have to win at least 7 times as many games as we lose to get the box. So fingers crossed here, we're hopping back in for the 6th run this time around. We've had a relatively positive record, but nothing has converted into that collector box yet. Let's see what we got here for our rares. This looks like a definite white deck for sure. We have Sunstar Chaplain and Cosmogrand Zenith for 2 excellent aggressive rares. And then the Esteli Reclaimer is all right. There aren't a whole ton of combos to work with this. You need non-creature, non-land permanents in your graveyard for it. The main thing is with any spacecraft, if you station them and then they end up dying, then you can reanimate the spacecraft with this. That's the most consistent way to use it. Or if you have some good self-mill, maybe mill one of your Banishing Lights or something and then reanimate with this. But this is certainly the weakest of the 3 white rares, but having the 3 white rares, particularly the other 2 that are so dang powerful, means we're almost definitely playing white. And then a few different directions to go: green, white, red, white, black, white, and some mediocre lands. Yeah, definitely not playing Plaza of Heroes. We'll have maybe 1 legend in the whole sealed pool on average. Could play Strip Mine. If we're a 2-color deck with a pretty good mana base, we can play Strip Mine so that if we go aggressive curve out, blow up a land could be absolutely valuable, keeping them off of their big plays that they could try to stabilize with. So Strip Mine's kind of exciting here. Unfortunately, we didn't open up the green land that lets you play lands from your grave and play an additional land each turn. That is the disgusting, absolutely filthy Wombo combo with the Strip Mine. So didn't get that. Let's see what we got in our colorless and our multicolored here in terms of fixing. 0 colorless fixing. I lied. There's 1 all fade scroll. But with how aggressive our white rares are, we probably don't want to play a 3-mana rock. And then no dual lands, because of course all the dual lands are at rare or better in this set. How about landers? 1 lander token out of green. Seed Ship Impact does not count, because often you'll have to blow up their 3 or 4 mana artifact or enchantment like a Banishing Light or 4 mana spacecraft. Orbital Plunge sort of counts, but it's a late game lander token, and same with Land Seeker. But Intimidator, your opponent could give you the counters instead of the landers, so you can't really choose on that. So not a ton of fixing, and weirdly, the most fixing we have is in red as a color, so that's kind of interesting. But what about the multicolored? Any powerful 2-colored uncommons to go for? I mean, my favorites of these 2 uncommons are the white spells already, and I already really want to play white, so a blue-white double spell deck with Station Monitor could be quite aggressive, or a green-white +1/+1 counter deck. Halia turns into an excellent card draw engine in that archetype, and even by herself, she puts a counter on something and starts drawing cards off that creature, which is really good. And haven't looked at our colors individually yet, but double Harmonious Grove Strider is pretty good at the top end of a green deck. So maybe green-white could be the place to be, but we'll check all the colors individually here. Starting with white, we have a high quantity of spells here to go with our very high quality rares and mythic rares, so I'm super into this color. The biggest issue we have in the color is a lack of removal. We have 1 Seam Rip, which is very narrow removal, and 1 Focus Fire. The Focus Fire is pretty great, especially in a color that's good at spitting out a wide board. We have 1 card that's super good at doing it with the Cosmogrand Zenith as well. So Focus Fire is quite good, but again, Seam Rip, only getting a mana value 2 or less card. It's not really doing what you want your removal to be doing in an aggressive deck like this, which is clearing out their big stabilizing creature that they play late in the game, or their big bomb. So not the biggest fan of our removal here, but everything else about the color I like. If we have a secondary color that has a lot of creatures as well, maybe a little bit of token production, these Zealous displays could also do some work. I think it is quite powerful with Cosmogrand Zenith, but that's the only card we have that really synergizes with it. None of our other cards make more than 1 creature. If we had the Cosmograph Zenith, or Cosmogrand Zenith, and a couple of the 4-mana 3/2 that come with a 1/1, and you could also warp them for 2 mana to make another 1/1, if we had some of those commons, I think the Zealous displays would be super worth running, but as it stands, I don't think they're quite there with only the Zenith providing us with tokens. We'll have to see what we get out of a second color, but as for now, I feel like these are the cards we're probably playing, this selection of stuff. And with such powerful rares as Cosmic Grand Zenith and Sunstar Chaplain, if we do play a secondary color that has a little bit of ramp or a little bit more at the top end of the curve, I could see running Rescue Skiff because it can get back the Chaplain and the Zenith. But ideally, again, we play a secondary color that's really low to the ground, really aggressive, where we wouldn't really want a 6-drop. So that's another one that depends on what our secondary color has. So we have some other options that I don't currently want to run, but could, depending on what we have to support us. So what do we have in blue? Some shield mates look pretty bad. Operatives, mediocre. Technician looks pretty bad. There's not a lot of artifacts here. There's a couple really high quality cards like Gigastorm Titan and Tractor Beam, double Cryogen Relic. But everything else is good filler at worst and bad filler from there. Blue does not look quite worth it, even though the blue-white uncommon looked quite strong. Black, a little bit low on cards here. A lot of fillery stuff. Like the Virus Beetle a lot. The Faithful's pretty good with Virus Beetle and 1/1 tokens and stuff, although I didn't have that much token production out of the white. Black looks reasonable, but not great. Red has double Bombard, double Orbital Plunge, Plasma Bolt. Our biggest issue with our white is the lack of removal, so I'm a little interested in the red here for that reason. It also is giving us good top end with Territorial Bruntar as a huge card draw engine and a big finisher at the same time. Modifier is good at getting damage in. Intimidator can be absolutely massive for cheap. Pangolin's fine. Landseeker's fine. Yeah, red just gives us a bunch of non-creature spells. A bunch of removal spells primarily to support the white here. Tons of removal to clear a path. This looks like a very solid Boros deck. I haven't played Boros in the set a single time, but this looks like a good reason to do so. Get to cut 10 cards. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Cut one more card, probably the Skiff. This doesn't go that high on mana curve, but we have double Plunge and Landseeker for the Lander tokens and maybe Intimidator. I don't think it'd be crazy to run Skiff, but it's probably the worst card we're still running here. Yeah, this absolutely looks like a deck, but we definitely want to make sure to take a peek at green as well, because we have the great green-white Signpost Uncommon, and it is going to be some fierce competition here. We have some really good Grove Striders at the top of the curve, a couple Biosynthetic Bursts that also play really well with our green-white Signpost Uncommon. The issue I'm having with our green-white deck is that our interaction is not very good. We're really not getting things out of the way. We're not playing barely any removal. Seed Pack, Impact, Focus Fire. I guess I have to play Seam Rip at that point. I'm not going to be that deep on green to want like a double green 2-drop, but it is powerful, so I probably still want to play it. Just expect to play it on turn 3 or 4. I guess turn 4 double spell, play Bailoff, and another 2-drop is good. So like the curve's kind of like this. This is perfectly reasonable. Perfectly reasonable. But I do feel that the red just works so nicely with all that removal. I'm going to move towards Boros here. None of the colorless cards are interesting. Yeah, we'll just do that Boros build I already showed off earlier. Call it a deck there, and get into the gameplay really quickly on this run. Here we are on the draw for game number 1. Some solid early plays, and then just the 5-mana 5/4 flyer to beat in the sky. The Reclaimer is certainly the worst rare in our deck based on what our sealed pool had. It's just a 5/4 flyer in 9 out of 10 games, but if we ever draw Pain for All alongside it, we can technically reanimate that and get another removal spell out of that, and that'll be really powerful. Just a shame we didn't get any Banishing Lights as well. That could end up in the grave off of some of our early Surveil creatures we had in white, or off of our opponents, like destroying the Banishing Lights. Bard is the draw. I'd rather Focus Fire and save the Bombard for later. One thing that's a little interesting here is the... we do have the 1-drop in our sideboard that we can spend 2 mana and sack and draw a card, it might be worth running that to make Reclaimer better. But I think any hand where we don't have Reclaimer, that's not really what this deck wants to be doing. It just like cycles itself and draws a card. This could draw them a card every turn. I'm happy to bombard that. We're flooding a little bit here. We've got 6 lands in the hand already. Stunning the Pangolin. Another Bombard. Not terrible. Scrapper's gonna have to put in some work for us by digging through this flood. Our opponents on green-blue, they have some of the biggest late-game plays possible, which makes our red removal a little mediocre. Which is quite awkward, because red was our only color that really had removal in this sealed pool. So we're just really not good at killing the green beef. Might have been worth holding on to Focus Fire, so that if they don't kill any of our creatures, I could technically maybe kill something with more than 4 toughness eventually. Incredible value from our opponent with the Code Cracker Hound, the mythic rare version of Subsig Appraiser. Ooh. That is going to get some triggers here for sure. So +1 counter on anybody. Certainly not on the flyer. Probably not the Scrapper, because I'm going to keep tapping that, so I guess Pangolin. Not putting counters on the Reclaimer, because whenever they have a removal spell to kill something, that is the first target. Easily. Like so. Landseeker's a solid draw. Get another counter on Pangolin for the Sunstar Chaplain. Landseeker is the biggest target for removal by a good chunk now. Well, if they kill the Landseeker, they don't kill Chaplain. Don't want to load both counters into Pangolin, because then maybe they kill that, so I don't have access to tapping things. I think I'm putting one on Scrapper here, which is really awkward, but I think it's where I'm at. Genomorph, every time they play land, they make something a 6/6 till end of turn. Just hanging out with 2 of the same rare over there. Big yikes from McSpikes. I want to bombard one. They're at 8. Can I kill them here? I'm 1 mana off from killing them. I kill 1 Imago and I tap a Germinating Worm. They still have 1 blocker up, which blocks a 3/3. No, they actually take exact lethal if they have nothing in hand here. They have something in hand here. Their last card in hand after all of this is a trick. Well, that's unfortunate. Tap 1 creature, they have 2 blockers up. Block there, take 6 is not dead. But they have no removal in their hand, so we play towards killing them next turn, I believe. Intimidator is really good for us, whatever they choose. Either we have 2 counters on the board for Chaplain, or we have a lander token, which means that we put 1 more counter on Pangolin for the future. Alright, they're playing off the top. I think they're super dead next turn if they don't hit good cheap interaction. I mean, Mechanozoa is solid play. Tap let's see. Tap Stun Landseeker. I have 3 counters on the board. I can tap 3 of their creatures. They'd have 1 blocker up. That 1 blocker... I could then... They're just gonna lethal me out of literally nowhere with their double rare. No, they're just gonna go in. Okay, well, Reclaimer's not accomplishing anything for me, so I might as well trump 7. The only reason not to would be because of Void, but I can't think of any blue or green Void cards. It's like the black-red mechanic. They're just dead, right? Triple tap, I have well over lethal on board. Okay. I got real scared there that they played like that. I'm like, oh my god, they were about to attack with both. I'm like, there's some that like doubles power here. They're gonna Tifa's Limit Break me? No. Alright. Still get there. Sunstar Chaplain being absolutely incredible, getting us that victory for 1-0 here. Another quick peek at the sideboard in between games just to show off. We technically do have a tiny bit more synergy I could play with the Reclaimer, but I think just a big beefy flyer is already a big enough threat. It's really just the nutrient block that I could play around with. We could play Strip Mine. That's right, I forgot about that. I think our mana base is potentially good enough to justify Strip Mine, going an 8-8 split here. We only have 1 double white card and 1 double red card. Yeah, we'll go Strip Mine over the 17th land. That feels reasonable for aggro. And there are some dual lands that you could get out of the bonus sheet that turn into creatures that are pretty gnarly, so it's flexible against those too. Yeah, so I've got Pain for All. I can use with Reclaimer. That's it. I don't think Nutrient Block is worth it because it's pretty bad every other time. I guess it technically works with Pangolin also, but not super exciting. Yeah, we'll play the Strip Mine, but other than that, keep it the same as we had in round number 2. Here we are on the play for round number 2. We got a 1-2-3 curve and then a removal spell, which is exactly what we wanted out of our opening hands with this deck. Here we go. Starport Security is down. And our opponent starts with a Forest. There's a Terrapact Intimidator, which I think... I'd like to wait till Pangolin's down, so no matter what they choose, I put huge stats on my board. If we do that turn 4, they either give me a 4-3, or they give me Lander tokens and Pangolin becomes a 4-4. Double Forests to start things off for our opponent. If we play the Intimidator turn 4 and they choose to just make it a 4-3, we could also play Pilot instead and still use all our mana. Should be so good. And that's if I hit a basic, but still, it's an idea. Okay, didn't hit a basic, so we'll just clear out the blocker. Slam. Get 7 damage in for doing this. Put them to 9. Certainly looking to top deck a land here for the double spell. Biotech Specialist. Gives them another Lander token, but otherwise doesn't matter too much. It just does 2 to our face. The most important part here is whether or not they can stabilize. That's not the worst draw in the world. Not the worst draw in the world. You can clear out the Specialist and play the Intimidator. Okay, so they still kill Starport Security, which is awkward because this doesn't care if the creature's still on board. It's one of the only tricks they could have here that I don't blow out with Focus Fire. So that's pretty sad. But we do still kill the Specialist without playing our Focus Fire, so just allow it. Now I get a 4-3, or I get a 2-1 and Pangolin's a 3-3. Either is pretty great. Alright, 2-1 and Pangolin's a 3-3. Pangolin Intimidator combo is gross. Melded Moxite gives them a tapped 2/2. So that doesn't affect the board, they're just digging for something that does. They have the Bombard for the double striker, but they're taking 5 damage on the board. They are getting real close to dead here. Go nice and wide here, playing the Starfighter Pilot right now. That way they need to have enough blocks or removal spells to not get hit by a single one of all 3 of these creatures. There is an alternate line there. We could have just not played the Pilot so I could double Lander Token and guarantee I play Bruntar next turn. But when our opponent was dead to any of the 3 creatures, I think just having as many creatures on board as possible was the play there. Unfortunately, they did gain a little bit of life here, but they're still technically dead on boards. They need a trick in their hand, and they go ahead and concede. They do not have it, and we're 2-0 heading into Game 3. Here we are on the play for Game 3 with an excellent 2-3-4 curve out, Chaplain Modifier, and Lux Knight Breacher. Not a color I really wanted to see here, because they could have the 1 mana deal too, and I would cry. First draw of the game is another land. It was the one tiny risk to the opener, but I don't think anyone on the planet could justify mulliganing this hand. But it was a 4-lander, so that is right on that precipice of being pretty easy to flood with. Warp the Emissary, play a 1-mana artifact here? I don't remember any 1-mana artifacts. Okay, they're just goofing. Okay. They're just having fun. I don't mind Cryo Shatter that much here. It's obviously pretty bad for me. I'm not dealing any damage. But the Chaplain does still get to get value, even if it's stuck under a Cryo Shatter. If we ever get 2 tapped creatures on board later, which might be a little difficult this game, because they have the cheap creatures to play, we know, from the Emissary at least. It's one thing a little bit awkward about this sealed pool is that we didn't open up a single one of the cheap spacecraft. I'm always going to say that wrong. We didn't open up any of the cheap spacecraft. We have 2 different 6-mana spacecraft I could be running in here, but cards like the Chaplain that care about the number of tapped creatures you control, or cards like the Pilot that trigger every time they become tapped, those are really, really excellent with the 3 and 4 mana vehicles, the 2 mana spacecraft. Sorry, I did it again. The 3 and 4 mana spacecraft and the 2 mana spacecraft. Like the 2 mana rare spacecraft, I think would be just so good in this deck. We had it in our last one. Sadly, not this time around. They're just gonna haste in for some damage with Emissary. They're trying to race here. Okay. Get the drone down. They are indeed. Go for it. Come on in. Starport Security's the draw. I can double spell and tap somebody. Great mana then. I can't tap somebody with Starport Security because it's summoning sick, but I can with the Chaplain. I should specify. I have 11 power on the board. So I can remove a +1/+1 counter and still have lethal on board, but I can only remove 1. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, plus the +1 for modifier. Disgusting. Yeah, Plasma Bolt is incredible in this matchup. That doesn't have any counters on it either, so I can't Chaplain. I guess I technically could have put a counter on it to play around Plasma Bolt, but it shouldn't be too difficult for them to get ward, or not ward, but void triggers for it to deal 3 also. I no longer have lethal on board. Now they are working on stationing the scan ship. And we have got to hit some spells now. And I shouldn't open my mouth. Super bad draw is super bad. Their only block that kills Lux Knight Breacher is a double block with Emissary and Harrier if I tap Turbo Drone. So we kill their two best creatures if they double block, and if they don't, I have two tapped creatures for Chaplain. That feels quite reasonable to me. Starfighter Pilot for Emissary is also not a bad trade, and I get to Surveil off of it. Sure. Bombards the draw. I'll be running out of creatures by the time I draw that, but it is still quite good. Wish I drew that last turn. If I had the Bombard that turn, that would have been a really, really good turn. Worm Wall Sweeper. Life totals are 16 to 6 now, but I am pretty much all out of gas just opening a Dispel every turn. We are getting a Bombard next turn, but they still have a couple cards in hand. They just surveilled to make sure that they're drawing 2 spells the next 2 turns. Not a fan of how the draws are going right now. That is where things are quite scary. Another Turbo Drone. Station a Sweeper halfway there with the creatures that can't block anyway. Finish it off with Turbo Drone. Finish it off with Harrier, makes sense. So tap a Turbo Drone. Force a double block with Drone Sweeper on Breacher and then Bombard to kill both. Whittle this board down. Worst case scenario, hit for 4 and get a +1/+1 counter works too. I might put a counter on the Breacher to play around Bombard, but then if they have Orbital Plunge, the deal 6, then it's worse than putting the counter on Security. Or if they have any blue removal like the Tractor Beam or the Bounce spell, it's worse to put the counter on Breacher. I think putting the counter on Security is better against more spells than putting the counter on Breacher, but I say that out loud, and then I'm going to put the counter on Security, and it's going to be Bombard, where I could have saved Breacher. Just tends to be how it all lines up sometimes. Like earlier, not playing around the Plasma Bolt. They're at 2. Believe I want to spread out my lethal threats. I mean, they're already both lethal threats. So I guess now it really doesn't matter much. But if I put the counter on Security, Security is a lethal threat even if I remove a counter on it for Sunstar Chaplain's ability, and that could be important. So if they like Tractor Beam the Breacher, then I can still tap somebody with Chaplain's ability and attack with a lethal 2/2 Security. That said, they have a lot of blockers here, but I only have to get in once. Might be game. They just play 1 blocker. I can stop 2 right now. And then I have 2 more counters I can use. No, I can use all the counters. Yeah, I can get rid of all the blockers here. Because Chaplain is insane. So we can blow up Mechan. Tap a Turbo Drone. Yeah, there's the concession for our opponent. I can tap 3 more creatures, and they have no creatures untapped. Wow. Underneath a Cryo Shatter, Sunstar Chaplain still wins us the game. Really good stuff from that card throughout these early games. So we've gotten a lot of wins off that rare. Have not really been drawing our others. We haven't played Pain for All a single time, and we have not drawn the Cosmogran Zenith either. So that's what I'm looking forward to in these future games. But We've got a great record no matter what happens from here. We are 3 wins deep, guaranteeing a positive record on this run. Game number 4 now. That sure is a lot of white spells with no planes. That is going to be a mulligan there. And we can keep the 6-card hand. It has both of our colors, but still has some mana risks here with only 2 lands in the hand. It is definitely a keep, though. Both of our colors, 3 castable spells off of the 2 lands it has. We ditched the 5-drop Reclaimer because warping it doesn't do anything in this deck unless we specifically drew the Pain for All, which is not in the opener, so we're not going to gamble on that. Our first draw is Sunstar Chaplain, which is quite a scary card. But we ideally need a lot of mana to go with that, so I have the mana to keep playing a bunch of creatures, and we really need a lot of mana to go with the Cosmogran Zenith. I'm going to go Intimidator first. That way the turn that I play Chaplain, I can try to get an immediate trigger off of it, having 2 tapped creatures on the board the turn I play it. If our opponent just plays something that doesn't impact the board, like a Sammy's Curiosity or something. These Lander tokens are actually straight value for me right now. I could crack a Lander and Plasma Bolt. They're 3/3 if I hit a land. If I don't hit a land, I am going to be very annoyed. So I am officially very annoyed. Still probably just crack the Lander here. And next turn I can crack a Lander and use Plasma Bolt. Technically should do this in their end step. Pretend I have an instant. Rayblade Trooper to buff the Sky Stinger out of reach of Plasma Bolt exactly in time if I specifically miss land drops. If I didn't miss land drops, that Rayblade Trooper would have no targets on the board. And that is another missed land drop. It's going to be one of those games, it seems. We still have really powerful spells in this hand, so we're not out of it yet, but we're drawing real poorly right now. Here's Chaplain Scrapper. Get a counter. Toss that on Intimidator. Our opponent is also missing lands, luckily, but they have hit their first 3 naturally. We did have to land our token into the 3rd, so we had to time walk ourselves to get land 3. Kill the Trooper. They'll still have a 1/1 off of the Trooper's ability. I think it's really important to crack the Lander token regardless, so we might as well do the Plasma Bolt play here. When we're, not only are we not hitting lands, we're drawing 4s and 5s. Well, just 4s. We only have 1 5-drop in the whole deck. They're 1/1 Trumper. We go to 9. Buff the security so the 1/1 doesn't hit me. No one is capable of drawing lands, but Diadrine is an insane card. Even at only 3 mana, they can draw cards and make 2/2s off of it. It's a very, very good card in this position. They're at 9. I can tap 2 creatures. It is far from lethal. I think I have to just plunge Diadrine. They have a 1/1 and a 2/2 blocker up then. Have to attack with 3 creatures to trigger Chaplain. Awkward and a half. Yeah, there's very good work from Diadrine there. Let them kill the Scrapper to get the +1/+1 counter. Sack Scrapper, deal extra damage, get another counter. I feel like that's reasonable here. Sack Chaplain, jump there. Take 3. It's maybe not as good. I think that's worth it. Okay, don't even sack the scrapper. Take those. There's their 4th land off the Diadrine, digging a little farther last turn. This is an insanely close game. We're all single digits here. And they have a million cards in hand and they're holding up instants. Sketchy. Show me the counterspell for this, I guess. Except don't actually do that, I'd be sad. Okay. Six life, I kind of want to go wide here. +1/+1 counters are quite good on this board. Counter it up. Not going to get a Chaplain trigger this turn. It's for sure. I expect both of these to die. One to the Sky Stinger and another to some sort of removal spell. Or just one. Okay. One dies. Do I have a second Plasma Bolt in this sealed pool? No. So I couldn't find Oops Lethal. This gives them a tapped permanent, so unless they hit like a Banishing Light, it doesn't help them block. Ooh, Night Luminary does, though. But I have enough counters on the board to tap everybody, because Chaplain Zenith combo is wild. There's the concession from our opponent, Sunstar Chaplain being consistently incredible. That was the first game we've ever drawn Cosmogran Zenith. But god, is it insane with Sunstar Chaplain. It's insane in general. Yeah, that was a sketchy start to the game. Neither of us could hit any lands for a while there. I had to use my Terra Pact, Terra Pact Intimidator, Lander tokens to have a shot. I think if they made this a 4/3 instead of giving me the Landers, we probably would have lost. Even though they didn't hit lands either, like the Diadrine would just be chilling for a while. Going pretty crazy there. Yeah, I mean, obviously a somewhat commanding lead in the end, but I think a pretty close game overall. That is 4-0 now. Super positive record on this run. And pretty much getting the whole entry fee back no matter what. Ooh, another Cosmogran Zenith hand. The hand's not super good at double spelling with it, but like the powerful card. Basically, they need to have removal for it in their opener, or they are definitely dying to it over time. I have a ton of removal in this hand, so if they play anything even remotely good, I would rather throw removal at this board than play the Zenith. For now, against a black deck. Against a black-red deck, yeah, we'll bombard a Thawbringer for now, I guess. If they don't trade Pilot into it. Keep playing a bunch of removal for now until we get to the point where I can double spell alongside Zenith. So turn 5, Zenith and Pangolin will be the play. Make a wide board. Do this while they're tapped out. They already kept their card on top, so they're not getting any extra surveil value, and they can't indestructible trick it or anything here. Full 5 color potentially. There's Godless Shrine. They did open a rare dual land at least, so green, white, red, and black. And this is going to be the 5 color all of their bombs deck. Well, they milled one of them. Possibility Technician's an incredible card. It draws 2 cards by itself. Then any other Kavu they play for the rest of the game draws even more. Kill the Brood Tender so they can't reanimate that bomb. And because I'm not playing Zenith right now, I want to double spell Zenith Pangolin next turn. There's Strip Mine. I don't really want to land at this point, but I'm tempted to do that on Godless Shrine. I'm just going to play Zenith Pangolin, so I don't need to draw another spell quite yet. We'll see if that comes back to bite me. But I can't resist. Strip mining a duel feels good. Memorial Team Leader warped rather than hard cast, so saving their mana up to maybe kill our pilot, I guess. What are you going to do about the pilot, then? A dubious delicacy. Fair enough. That would not have been able to kill the Zenith. But I was hoping to get them to spend removal that could kill the Zenith on something that isn't a Zenith here. Alright. 3 mana for a 2/4 and 2 1/1s. We've already got great value, even if Zenith dies to their last card in hand. Does die to the last card in hand. Embrace Oblivion it is. They have 1 creature left. They play the creature, I kill it, and we are just jamming for the rest of this game. The awkward part about our strip mine here is that they can just crack the lander token for white anyway, but... yeah. If they're running a basic plains. A little bit of flood. It's a bunch of damage for us. We also have a little bit of flood, but that's fine because we have a board state to keep getting damage, and if both of us draws a land every turn for the rest of this game, we do win pretty quickly. So I don't need to draw spells unless they draw spells. Was an argument for putting a stop in our upkeep before our draw step to crack these and thin our deck out of the land or two. But since I forgot to do that, we'll just do it in the end step. That's just more lands. Gains a little bit of life, buys them a little bit of time, and thins the deck out of more lands, but does not give them any blockers here, importantly. Nothing good to bounce with that, but another threat is another threat. That's the 2-turn lethal. If I don't play it here, I don't kill them next turn, so I am going to play it. The only flaw with that is if they top deck a board wipe. Say they pick up a second black source and then they hit the double black, double red board wipe or something. Although the double black, double red board wipe would not kill all of these creatures, because it only kills evens or odds, and I have 3 even mana value creatures and 1 odd. So someone would survive that board wipe, but our opponent is the absolute champion of flood over there for a very bad time for them. And lethal for us, we are 5-0 in the money for the second time on this Arena Direct. This time with our Boros deck with some great aggro rares. Excellent, excellent spot to be. And that locks us in for a really excellent record throughout this Arena Direct. No matter what happens from here, we've had a very positive win rate when you stack up all of our wins and all of our losses together. However, I've only got time for 1 more attempt after this, so I would really, really like to win a collector box within these next 2 attempts. So we are still playing for all that we can here, trying to get towards that next collector booster box. Only 2 wins away with no losses under our belt so far. Mono white opener, but we have a 1-2-3 curve with it, so I'm going to keep this. I feel like Strip Mine might just be making the deck worse than another colored source. Because even last game where I did blow up a non-basic land, it was just completely irrelevant. But we hit a red source, so maybe it's going to make the deck better here. Curve out 1, 2, 3, play the 4-mana removal, and then Strip Mine. See, the problem is you still don't get to Strip Mine until pretty late. Oh, and they had a mana dork immediately? You hate to see that. I mean, I could just go Strip Mine Forest, and we're both sitting here for a little while, but again, that's such a gamble. If they just have second Forest in hand, it's just much worse than curving out. Double Zookeeper Mechan. Still on 1 green. Strip Mine of Forest is so interesting to me. It's so enticing But it's also like, if they hit another green source, it's so bad for us because then they're just way ahead on mana because they have 2 mana dorks on this board. I don't think I can do that. It's such a risk. Cut Propulsion the Adepts. Just all mana and removal here from our opponent for now. Play Security and Savior. Could play Pangolin and Security and get the counter. Then I have a counter with 2 Starport Securities down. Not terrible. And then if I hit another land, I will have Orbital Plunge with Orbital Plunge with the Pangolin trigger. Well, if they have a green spell, now they see a strip mine on my board, so let's just play it now. Could they have a kill ship? Kill a Pangolin. Fair. Well, now their Pangolin's dead. You know? I might strip mine. I might indeed strip mine. Let's see what we draw. Bruntar! Shoot. Oh, shucks. That card's so good, but then I definitely can't strip mine. I play Exosuit Savior to attack them next turn. If I keep this, I don't strip mine. If I strip mine, I have to mill this. Mill this, strip mine, play a flyer. How crazy is that? That's gotta be wrong with Bruntar on top. So I know I'm not going to have 6 mana for Bruntar next turn. But if I don't plunge now, I can't crack the lander next turn. So I have to plunge now if I want to play Bruntar the turn after next turn. Okay. Sammy's Curiosity. They could have a double green spell in their hand that would make me need to strip mine a forest. But again, I literally just drew a 6-drop now, so it's so awkward. Yeah, this is just going to be Exosuit Savior and hold up the Lander token. Although I get a Surveil off of Starfighter Pilot, so I'd probably crack the Lander first, then play Exosuit Savior. Actually, I should have gotten another red in case I hit another red spell. Like a Plasma Bolt. I could play Bruntar and Plasma Bolt in the same turn. Bruntar is the play next turn. I'm going to keep a land on top. Here comes the double green spell. Let's see how bad it is. That's not that bad. Okay, it's sketchy with the kill ship at least, though. I can cast it this turn only. So I do need them to not be able to kill that. I've already got the land to trigger Bruntar. Can't play 2 lands in one turn, so we'll mill the next card. Sky Warden's fine. Just a second Predator, basically. The kill ship is not fine. We're gonna have to start securing that thing down. Terra Pact Intimidator. That'll be a 4/3 and it'll make the starport securities really cheap to use too. I like that. Yeah, I was gonna say, if they give us the lander tokens here, that would be a wild choice. Strip mine the second green. Tap somebody during their end step. Yeah. Still haven't drawn Pain for All a single time. Man, I kind of got myself with the strip mine. Because now I can't play Reclaimer and activate security. Well, this is also the only 5-drop in the deck, so that's the only card I get punished for that. With 2 blockers. If I tap the 2, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. I lose to removal. If I try to tap the 2. Okay, they have removal, probably. They have nothing instant speed on board, which means they have an instant speed card in their hand or they're playing full control mode. So I'll hold up the starport security. What else do I hold up here? Just hold up at least one card. I think I just hold up the pilots, because I have to attack with both to get any damage with them, and then it's just 1 hits for 2. I mean, unless they chump the Bruntar, I guess. Yeah, I think this is the safest line. Two chumpers out, I take 7 in the sky and don't die. Unless they have another one of those next turn. Go to 4. They're going to try to kill us in the sky here, or with trample. Another burst does it. They trample over. They don't kill us here, we kill them next turn. It's going to be a very close ending to this game. Mechan can give +4/+0, but that is not enough on board in any direction. So they plunge Bruntar. They're playing for the long game here, which is just kill Bruntar and pass so that they're not insta-dead to double activate. They actually still are insta-dead to double activate if they don't have another removal spell. Or another untap trick here. I feel like I can really safely go for just pass, tap 2 creatures, untap, tap 2 creatures, and then try to kill them. So I think I'm gonna do that. It's just a lot safer. Okay. I was gonna say, now they would need absolute insanity to not die. Stressful game, as they all are for me. But we are 6-0, undefeated for 6 wins in a row, a single win away from the collector booster box. And no matter what, ending with a lot more gems than we paid to enter. Cross our fingers and see where we go as we head into the final boss here. This will be the final battle with 2 lives to go. All right, here we are for that final game of Magic. Everything in my being wants to keep this hand, because if we top deck the mountain, we finally got Pain for All and the Reclaimer to pick it up from grave. So if I hit a mountain, I'm going to have a really good game here. If I don't hit a mountain, though, I just lose. There's 3 red spells in this opener. I have to mulligan if I want to play as best as possible, because I have 8 mountains in here out of 33 cards, so 24%. Less than a 1 in 4 chance of hitting a mountain each turn. But I have 4 draw steps to do it. No, I have 3 draw steps to do it. 3 draw steps of trying to hit a 1 in 4 chance. I can't. Alright, both of our colors here. 1, 2, 3 curve, keep the Pain for All, ditch the Pangolin. Or I could ditch a land and hope Starfighter Pilot guarantees we hit more lands. Plus I am on the draw here to help hit lands. Everything in here is 3 or less, so I don't need infinite lands right now. I think I ditch land 3 for this opener on the draw. On the play, I'd probably keep the 3rd land. Opponent starts with the 1 mana, 1/1 Death Toucher. Does damage equal to its power to any target whenever enchanted creatures dealt damage deals that much to each opponent, not a target. So this won't like finish off the random Death Toucher later, except on like the enter effect. I think with Pain and Plunge, I'll probably Pain the whole Carver off the enter effect. Starport Security's been a consistent overperformer in this deck, so I'm not the biggest fan of that trade when I have 2 removal spells in hand. If I didn't have any removal, I'd probably just get that off the board there. Grixis from our opponent, blue, red, and black. They hit all 3 colors naturally turn 3. They did a little bit of surveilling, so there's that. Monoist is very good against removal, or just trading into pilot. Yeah, Monoist is super awkward for us. Give the whole Carver some pain here. No, this card is just absolutely awesome against our deck. Kill 2 of our attackers over time. Just Pangolin pass. Let's just Pangolin or Pain for All. Monoist coming in hot. I'm really happy if I ever see that Monoist attack with the way our deck is. Because trading into it would just be so bad for me. Okay, they need a 1 black mana instant speed removal spell to counter Pain for All, which I don't think exists in this set. Not for 1 mana and instant speed. So this should resolve. We get to kill the Voidborn and trade somebody into the whole Carver. Okay, trade into the whole Carver, get 1 more point of damage in, and I keep my creature that gets bigger with the Plunge, which is perfect, because I do need that +1/+1 counter for Starport Security, ideally. So being able to get that this turn is going to be awesome. Kill the whale, get the counter, security's ready to go. Start turning the race in our favor on board, but they have 2 more spells in their hand, and we just have the 1 pilot, so we're certainly behind by about a card here, which is to be expected on a mulligan. But we certainly have a chance with the information we have now. Cryogen Relic puts them even farther ahead, though. That is not good. I mean, it is good. It's very good for our opponent. It's not good for us. I think I got to double spell both creatures and apply as much pressure as possible. Here comes an instant speed removal spell on Pinging, which means no removal on the double striker, baby. Stun a security, draw a card. They're on all lands right now. Mostly lands, at least. Top deck is... not for us to know yet. If they just pass here, I'd expect it's removal for Adept at instant speed. Although they should kill it now, yeah, so I can't buff the whole board. Get another point of damage in. Scrapper is not a bad draw at all. Not a bad one at all. The Surveil is great here. Let's crack this pre-Surveil. For the second red, so that I could cast anything I draw, we do have one double red spell in the deck. Bombard's actually kind of bad against Monoist. I just want to use security for now. But it's relatively good if they play anything else, so I'm going to keep it here. There are colors that can play plenty of 4 toughness or less creatures. If they were a green deck, I might mill Bombard. It'd still be pretty close. I'd probably keep it. Oh yeah, there's Bombard target. Weapons manufacturing. We are so absurdly happy to see weapons manufacturing because it does literally nothing. They need to draw artifacts and draw ways to sacrifice artifacts for this to do something. We get on a 5. You can't make it up. Thank God. I would have lost it. They literally top decked an artifact that then sacks the other stuff. That's the first draw there. It's wild. Bombard locks in that lethal. I mean, security is already lethal on board, but now we have lethal even if they top deck a creature. That's not good for me. Because they're dead on board, so that means they do something great. Okay. Our opponent chooses death. And I don't even have to play Bombard. And that's 7-0. We finally did it on our 6th attempt this time around. It didn't take all 7. And getting a full undefeated run on the final one means that our record was pretty great. A great record overall. We won a total of 20 games and lost 10. So throughout this whole thing, we won twice as many games as we lost, thanks to this great, 7-0 record really pulling us ahead in that win rate. That's like a 66% win rate, going 20 wins, 10 losses. Super, super nice for a highly competitive event like this. Really enjoyed this deck. I think the Strip Mine was probably more cute than anything. It never really ended up mattering. But I think it got closer to mattering in terms of being a colorless land and not getting us our 2 colors that we needed. Then it came close to mattering in terms of like blowing up anything important. There was the one game where our opponent could have gotten double green. I could have played that out a lot more aggressively with the Strip Mine and tried to blow up that second green. And maybe that would have ended up being worth it with how that played out. So maybe, I don't know. It was weird. Strip Mine was weird. But everything else was absolutely fantastic. A lot of great work from everything in the deck. Biggest overperformers got to go to Starport Security. Consistently getting us some good taps in there and helping get some wins. But there was that one game that we won almost exclusively off the Starport Securities. I mean, just 2 securities down, tap 2 of their creatures, untap, tap the next 2. finish them off. That was absolutely massive. So that's the biggest overperformer. In terms of being a somewhat filler card, just looks like a decent little filler one drop, but sometimes it can be absolutely incredible, and it certainly was in this deck. For the best cards in the deck, though, Sunstar Chaplain and Cosmic Grand Zenith, just insane cards. I think we only drew the Zenith, really played with it like twice, so that wasn't like completely giving us free wins all day long, but Sunstar Chaplain, I mean, our first 3 or 4 wins, I think we had Sunstar Chaplain. 4 or 5 total out of all 7 games we played Sunstar Chaplain. Really, really good at drawing that card, and obviously it was winning some games there. Pain for All was just like another removal spell. Not really like rare worthy, but this was quite a solid sealed pool. I still don't think this was like the literal best one we've ever opened. I think our blue-white decks were kind of absurd each time. They both had really good rares and mythics and stuff. Particularly the very first blue-white deck, I might argue would be a tiny bit stronger of a sealed pool than this, but this is comparable. I mean, the curve was great, tons of removal. Nothing to complain about here at all. Bombs as well, of course. Zenith and Chaplain winning us some games. All right, I'm not going to ramble on for the rest of time. We're going to let that wrap the event up. We'll lock in our collector booster box of Edge of Eternities, and that is going to end our Arena Direct run for Edge of Eternities collector boosters. But if they do one of these for play boosters, we'll play until we win some play booster boxes as well. Play until we win at least one play booster box. So that will end the competitive sealed for now, but there is an Arena Open coming up in just a couple days. If you want to see some more competitive Magic, I will be playing in that. One disclaimer though, I am working this weekend, so I'll only have time to play the Arena Open day 1 for 2 attempts, and if I don't get the 7-win run within those 2 attempts, then we're going to stop there. If I do get the 7-1 and I make it into day 2, then I will call out and I'll record the Arena Open day 2. So we'll see what happens with the Arena Open, but I don't get to do, 7 runs like I could have recorded for this Arena Direct. But there will still be more competitive sealed Edge of Eternities if you're interested in that in the very near future. Other than that, plenty more drafts coming up, and we're almost halfway through the Edge of Eternities competitive season by now because of how insanely fast new sets come out. By the time this video launches, we'll be halfway through August, and Spider-Man is going to come out in the very end of September. So it's only like 6 weeks away or something till the early access event, which is wild. So there's that to look forward to as well. However, it won't be Spider-Man on Arena. It'll be some other in-universe weird stuff. But that whole spiel out of the way, that's what's coming up in the near future. Until then, as for now, that is going to end today's video. As always, I'd like to thank my patrons and YouTube members for their support, as well as you for watching the video. If you enjoyed it and are interested in seeing some more, you can always like, comment, and subscribe to tell the YouTube algorithm to send some more in the recommended feed. If you'd like to catch me live, you can check out the Twitch channel in the link in the description below. And if you'd like to support the channel directly, you can check out the Patreon link in the description below. But other than that, as always, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you again soon for some more Magic Arena.